I can't prove this,
but
I'm just going to make a bold statement that I don't really agree with, but I kind of do. Zone 2 cardio is suboptimal for fat loss.
What is optimal for fat loss then?
Let me just fully kind of state my thought process here. Zone 1. Well, what's really optimal is dialing in your nutrition.
Right. Yeah, of course.
And then on the calorie expenditure side, getting more steps in my personal experience and my experience with clients, getting more steps in, which is zone 1 cardio, not to be confused with zone 2 cardio, leads to an increase in calorie expenditure, which is good for fat loss, that does not come with the simultaneous increase in hunger. Okay? I have found that zone 2 plus, so zone 2, 3, 4, 5, like all the way up, in cardio intensity, unbelievable for health, right? Zone 2 is especially heart health. Really good for performance in various sports and activities. Makes me feel better when I do it. Makes it harder to adhere to nutrition. And I think there are both physiological and psychological reasons why. And I'm thinking of this because a couple clients, 1 or 2 historic current that have gone through things like this, where the increase in zone 2 cardio for health benefits has led to more difficulty adhering to nutrition. Meaning, let's say you burn 250 calories, just to throw a number out there, in like a 45 to 60 minute zone 2 cardio session. That leads to overeating by more than 250 calories in that day on average. And whether that is because there's the rationalization of, and it's probably more of that, but whether it's the rationalization of, I did more today, therefore I get to eat more, which I think is probably the bigger factor, versus actual increase in physiological hunger or need for increased calories, which I think is part of it. But zone 2 is suboptimal for fat loss.
I'd be interested to hear your experience with this, because I've had many clients who say high intensity cardio blunts their hunger. And I've also had many clients say high intensity cardio increases their hunger. I've had many clients say low intensity cardio blunts their hunger, and others say low intensity cardio increases their hunger. So I've noticed throughout clients, it's very dependent on the individual, like which type of cardio increases their subjective hunger.
Blunts it immediately after, or blunts it in totality?
Both. Whether it's over like a 60-minute period or like a 12-hour period, the rest of the day.
Interesting. Okay.
I haven't seen one definitive, like I've noticed different things with different clients. The thing that you hit on that I completely agree with is the psychological aspect of it, which is like, I've done more, so now I deserve to eat more, or I can eat more, whatever it is. That I've noticed is a bigger issue when someone's not tracking their calories. When they're not actually tracking, and it's like, well, okay, well, I deserve to eat more. It's like, no, if you're tracking, here's your numbers. This is what you fucking eat, period, end of story. Whereas if you're not tracking, and you're just like, oh, well, the treadmill said I burned 1,000 calories, so I can eat whatever I want. And that's when people get in really issues with that. For me, high intensity cardio makes me ravenously hungry. Like when I go to zone 4, zone 5, it's blunted for about 30 minutes, like immediately after. And then following that 30 minutes, I'm starving. Whereas zone 2, dude, sometimes I'll do zone 2 and like, I'm not hungry at all for the next 4 to 6 hours. So zone 2 definitely blunts it. I would also argue that for the people who zone 2 is not increasing hunger, because you're going at a slightly higher intensity, but not so much that it's putting systemic stress on your body, you will inherently burn more calories than zone 1, which assuming you're tracking your calories and macros and you're still hitting them, it will actually lead to a faster rate of fat loss. Of course, marginally, like not a big deal. But like, I do think like the amount of hunger that you're feeling, I think just depends on how the individual is affected by that type of cardio.
Yeah. If you're eating 1800 and doing 5 hours of zone 1 a week, or you're eating 1800 and doing 5 hours of zone 2 a week, you're going to see more progress doing the zone 2.
Right.
Because you're burning more calories because it's more intense cardio. Absolutely correct. That's interesting that you have seen people who have hunger in totality blunted by higher intensity levels of cardio, because I haven't seen that.
Oh, you haven't at all?
Immediately after, yes.
Yeah,
but
not like 3, 4, 5, 6 hours after.
No.
Interesting.
But, maybe that could have been off my radar and I wasn't even thinking to ask that type of question. I don't know. But it's, just interesting. It takes me back to Burkhan's like, just lift and just track, and you don't need cardio for aesthetics type of, I don't even know if that was coined. It was in that era, right? And is, in my experience and many others, super effective. But you're right that it varies from client to client.